As you are well aware, it costs a lot of money to go to college. And you may need to borrow the money that you need to go from a bank. So to pay for school, you may decide that you're going to take a loan out. And just like with any other loan, you'd go to the bank, tell them how much money you want to borrow, and they would say, fine, we'll loan you that money. But you need to pay that money back. That's the principal that you borrowed. And you're also going to have to pay back some extra money. That's the interest. But there are a few other questions we're going to ask with student loans. Things like, do you pay all of the interest on the loan? What happens to the interest that accrues before the loan is repaid? And when exactly is that loan paid back? So let's talk about some vocabulary that will help explain some of these things. If you have an unsubsidized loan, then all of the interest on the loan is going to be paid by you. But a subsidized loan means that the interest that's accruing while you are still in school is going to be paid by someone else. If interest is capitalized, that means that that interest that's accruing while you're in school is going to be added to the principal on the loan. And if you have deferred payments, that means that the loan payments will start at some point after you graduate. So there's kind of a grace period. Now there's some formulas that we'll need in order to figure out some of the things with student loans. We'll need to know how to find the amount of daily and monthly interest that's accruing on the loan. And we'll also need a formula that will tell us what the monthly payment on the loan is. So let's look at an example. 3 years before graduation, you take out a $5,000 unsubsidized student loan at 4% interest for 10 years. Interest is capitalized. Payments are deferred for 6 months after graduation. Find the monthly payment and the total cost for the loan. So let's focus on a few words here. First of all, this is an unsubsidized loan. So that means you are responsible for paying that unpaid interest that's accruing as soon as you take the loan out. And since the interest is capitalized, that unpaid interest is going to be added to the principal. Since the payments are deferred, that means you won't start paying that loan back until 6 months after you graduate. So let's start by finding the daily interest amount. The principal balance is $5,000, the interest rate's 4%, and we divide by 365.25 because that's the number of days in a year. The 0.25, by the way, is coming from the fact that every 4 years we add 1 date of the year for leap years. Now you want to hang on to every single decimal at this point, because we're going to find the monthly interest next by multiplying that daily interest by 30. We are going to assume that there is an average of 30 days in a month. Now once again, we get a decimal number, but at this point we're going to round that to the nearest cent and say that the monthly interest is $16.43. So now that we know what the monthly interest is, let's focus on the fact that this loan is unsubsidized. Unsubsidized means that we are responsible for all of the interest on the loan. So remember, we take the loan out while we're in college, and then at some point we graduate. We know that happens after 3 years or 36 months. Then another 6 months passes before we have to start paying the loan back to the bank. So a total of 42 months passes from the time we take the loan out to the time we have to pay the loan back. Because this is an unsubsidized loan, we are responsible for that interest. So every month we're going to be charged $16.43 for a total of 42 months, which means the unpaid interest during that time when we're in school and up to the time we start paying the loan back is 42 times $16.43, or $690.06. Now remember, it's a capitalized loan too, which means that that interest is going to get added to the principal. So the total principal we are responsible for paying back to the bank is now $5,690.06. Now here's where that new principal comes into play. Remember we said that we wanted to know what the monthly payment was. This is a 10-year loan. So between the time we start paying the loan back to the bank and we finally end up making our last payment, 10 years will pass. We have a formula for finding that monthly payment. This formula will tell us the payment if we pay the loan back after 10 years, which is exactly what's happening here. So to use the formula, we need the principal, that's P, and we've got that. We also need the interest rate on the loan, that's R, and we know that too, that's 4%. So we can use the formula to find the monthly payment. Make sure you use order of operations when you simplify this, and you'll get, when rounded to the nearest cent, $57.61. That's the payment on our loan every month. Now we're going to make that payment every month for 10 years. So that's going to help us answer the last question. What is the total cost of the loan? So we pay $57.61 for 10 years. That means a total of 120 months. So the total cost of the loan is 120 payments of $57.61, or $6,913.20. Now let's change something in that first problem to make a second problem. 3 years before graduation, you take out a $5,000 subsidized student loan at 4% interest for 10 years. Payments are deferred for 6 months after graduation. Find the monthly payment and the total cost for the loan. This time we have a subsidized loan, which means you are not responsible for paying that interest that accrues from the time you take out the loan to the time you start paying the loan back. And when do you start paying the loan back? Well, payments are deferred for 6 months, so it'll be 6 months after you graduate when you start to pay the loan back. So let's start the same way we did with example 1. We'll find the daily interest amount. And in this case, it's exactly the same as it was in example 1. The principal balance is still $5,000, the interest rate is still 4%, and we still use 365.25 for the number of days in a year. We get a long decimal number, which is the daily interest. Hang on to all those digits because we want to multiply that times 30 to get the monthly interest, and then round that to the nearest cent. So you see that we have exactly the same monthly interest as we had for example 1. This time we have a subsidized student loan, which means that that monthly interest of $16.43 isn't something you're going to be paying back. Somebody else is. So that time between college and graduation, the 36 months, and the time between graduation and when you have to start paying the loan back, the 6 months, is still the same 42 months. The unpaid interest is still the same $690.06, but this is a subsidized loan, which means you don't pay it back. In fact, probably the government's paying it back. This is likely a government-backed loan, which is subsidized. So how much principal do you owe when you start paying the loan back? Well, you still owe the $5,000 that you borrowed, but you don't owe anything in addition to that. So your principal in this case is still $5,000. So what happens from here when we want to find out what the monthly payment is? Well, the principal stays $5,000, and you're still going to be paying that principal back over the 10 years between the time you start paying the first payment and the time you make your last payment. We're going to use the same formula to find the monthly payment, but in this case the principal's only $5,000 and the interest rate is still 4%. So simplifying with order of operations gives us a monthly payment for this loan of $50.62. So the last question is, what's the total cost of this loan? So every month we're paying $50.62, and we're doing that for 10 years, which is 120 months. So the total cost of the loan is 120 payments of $50.62, which is $6,074.40.